Good evening, everybody, and welcome to F1 tonight. And we will soon be underway for the Grand Prix de France at Paul Ricard. Stay tuned. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to F1 tonight. And we are here at the Circuit Paul Ricard for the start of qualification. We will soon be underway. So here we are. Everyone's getting ready now in the pits, getting their setups And we have 19 drivers with us this evening, sorry. We don't have Marcel France, I believe, who's the only driver that isn't competing for Toro Rosso. So Toro Rosso just down to the one car. Sure, they'll do well. So we're just waiting, as I say, for the drivers to come out, and we're going to start with Q1. So from the 19 drivers, we will go down to 15 in Q2. We'll go from 15 down to the final 10. And we can see, let's have a quick look, see if that's on the way out. And let's ride with Ryan Dronig, the Williams driver. Ryan Dronig, new to F1 Tonight for this season, but putting in a solid show. Didn't have the race he was looking for last week, unfortunately, but at this moment in time, not doing too bad. He's sitting 10 in the championship, so with 27 points. And his teammate Ruud Window, also new to F1 Tonight for this season. He's currently in 12th place with 22 points. So we got Nicky Visser for Sauber, Guido Ehrschein out, Ryan Dronig, who we're with, Miguel Torni for Force India, Martin Parder-Cooper for Red Bull, Damie Hartman for Haas, Bas de Breen for Ferrari, Marcel Dronig for Renault, Marco Pullen for Sauber, Boy Williamson for Haas, and Stan Drumkov, the new driver for Mercedes, also out. So as I say, we're following just Ryan Dronig at the moment. No one's set any times, but just over 15 minutes of this session remaining. I would expect that we're going to be looking somewhere round about the mid 150s, but we will see. So there goes Ryan now on his flying lap. And circuit Paul Ricard, obviously new to F1 season of 2018. And let's give you a few little statistics. So the course itself is 5.842 kilometres, so 3.63 miles. There are 15 turns, and Valtteri Bottas has set the fastest lap. I'd say 150s, that would be if it was raining, I was about to say. No, we're going to see a lot lower than that. So he set the fastest lap in the real world of a 1:34.225. The circuit itself has been a couple of changes to it. So there was a long circuit, which was raced between 1970 and 1999. That was about 5.8, about the same, slightly less actually distance than this one, had 14 turns. And then the club circuit, which is 1999 as well, that only had 9 turns, and that's 3.8. Nigel Mansell setting the fastest time for that in 1990 in the Ferrari, and Katie Rosberg in the Williams Honda in 1985. So we're just going to invite somebody in to best a moment. So we're just going to get John Donkel in for a few comments. So qualification, we're expecting dry running, and it could go wet possibly in Q2, and then back to dry again in Q3. I believe, oh no, sorry, I do apologise, the quali is looking as if it's going to be dry, but the race start will be dry, but it looks as if it will be turning wet and then back to dry. So that should be quite interesting as to what the drivers do with regards to their tyres. So they'll obviously be aware of that. They will possibly need to go on intermediates depending upon how heavy that rain is, but we are told it will go dry, wet, dry. So that would lend one to think that if they do go on to intermediates, because there's no guarantee that they would unless the rain really comes down and they don't have any other recourse, it could well stay on dry tyres, and if they do, it will certainly mix it up, that's for sure. So let's have a look at these times. So 1:31 by Stan Drumkov, the new driver in the Mercedes, setting the provisional fastest time. Bastard Breen second there with a 1:31.7. Guido Airshine 1:31.75. Oh, just got beaten there. Nicky Visser just jumped in with a 1:31.713. Bastard Breen 1:31.752. Guido Airshine 1:31.755. Boy Williamson for Haas 1:31.8. Ryan Dronig 1:31.9. Marcel Dronig 1:32.7. Damie Hartman a 1:32.8, and Miguel Tourney a 1:33.1. So half the field set a time. Got about 5 drivers currently in the pits. All the rest are out on track, and Jerome Portmer is currently doing an outlap. So let's go with Jerome as he lets some of the drivers pass there. So pretty steady, 1:31.5s. It is a quite a tricky track. So you've got a high-speed corners with change in direction and obviously in camber. And what I'd look to do, hopefully, see if we can get one of these drivers actually, as they're coming up to the start-finish line, and then we'll follow them through. So let's see who we can get. Okay, so let's go with Boy Williamson. So he's coming across the line now, comes down turn 1, so it's hard brake, left turn, then hard right, just really keep it down, then you move sort of like a right-left, so that's classified as one turn. Come down now to that hard right 5, 6. This is almost doubling back in himself. 7, 6, sorry, here. 7 it's coming up to now. So over the curb on the left, straighten it up. Now you're on the Mistral straight. There's the DRS detection and activation point. Now you're coming up to the Mistral chicane, which is turns 8 and 9. So you've got a left and then a right there into 9. Straighten it up. Open up the gas. That's now taking you down to turn 10, which is going to be a right, sweeping into 11. You've got to slow it right down because you're coming round in a loop now, and back towards 10. Now you've got the turn left into 12. Careful in there. Then you've got the right-hander 13. Left-hander now 14, tight, 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 tight. Brings it down to the final turn 15. Tight corner onto the start-finish straight. And he's in the pits, but there you go. That's what we'd be looking at. So we've got 8 minutes left now of this session. And at this moment in time, we have quite a number of drivers still not set a time. So this is going to be interesting. We've got Miguel Tourney bringing up 11 in the Force India, but Ruben Bowman has not gone out, Mark Stappers has not gone out, John Dunkel, Peter Phillips, Seb Bogart, Marco Pullen, Jerome Portmer, and Michel France, we know, is not racing, so apologies, we're actually down to 18 drivers. We will have our second Mercedes driver, and he'll be with us in Austria. So until then, Mercedes are just with the one driver, which is Stan Drumkov. So, what is happening now? Come on, let's get these guys out. So Ruben Bowman is coming out of the pits now. Let's go with, stay with Ruben Bowman. Ruben Bowman, last year's champion, a lot resting on his shoulders, hadn't performed at all well for the start of this season under any stretch of the imagination. Hadn't actually finished a race, did miss the first 2 races, but after that had not finished a race at all. DNF'd in all the races, but last week, finally made his comeback, did a fantastic job and split the Ferraris of Seb Bogart and Bas de Bree now. So very happy with that, I'm sure he was indeed. So he's got himself off now to a start for this season, but you're only as good as your last race, and at this moment in time that's second, but now he needs to prove it in this race. So that's what he's going to be looking to do. And just to give you a quick name there, Sander Hermans. Quick shout out to Sander, he'll be joining us in Austria, I'm sure he's watching. He normally does watch these live events. So big shout out to him and look forward to seeing him in Austria. So there's Jerome Portman now, getting himself ready on his out lap. Mark Strappers has set a time now, 1:33.5. Sorry, not Jerome Portman, Ruben Bowman. Jerome Portman set a time, 1:33.3. Miguel Torni, he's still in that 1:33.1. So at the moment, not enough people have set times. So Ruben Bowman now coming over the line to do his fast lap, and let's see what he can do. Let's get some info on here. So everybody is running on the Ultra Softs at this moment in time. So there we have Ruben now. No, I can't. What's going on here? So we're going to get John Donkel in, hopefully. He's currently in the pits, not come out as yet. So here it comes. Ruben Bowman, what can he do? What a fantastic show there. Ruben Bowman straight out of the garage. 2 laps, straight fastest lap, 1:30.3. Seb Bogart currently 6/10 off him with a 1:30.9. Ruud Windahl 2/10 away from that with 1:31.1. Nicky Visser 1:31.2. Marco Pullen, his teammate, 1:31.4. So good show from Sauber there in this Q1. Stan Drumkov for Mercedes, 1:31.5. Boy Williamson for Haas, 1:31.6. Bas de Bree, Seb's teammate, 1:31.7. Provisional 8. Guido Airshine, 1:31.755. So he's actually 3,000ths from the time of Bas de Bree. He's in 9th. Ryan Dronig is 1:31.9. Damie Hartman for Haas, 1:32.2. Mark Stappers for McLaren, 1:32.5. Martin Parder Cooper for Red Bull, teammate to Ruben Bowman, 132.5. Marcel Dronig for Renault, 132.7. Miguel Torni, 133.1. And in the drop zone, Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso currently with a 133.3. John Donkel for Force India, Peter Phillips for McLaren, still to set a time, so there will be 3 drivers dropped. As I said, Marcel France is not competing tonight, so we are down to 18 drivers. So we will be dropping 3 drivers, which will be P16, 17 and 18. So in comes Ruben Bowman now, and let's go with some of these drivers now. Jerome Portmer's in the pits as well, and John Donkel is actually out on track. Miguel Torni, I think, has crashed out actually, so Miguel Torni will actually be going 16. That's John Donkel's teammate. Not too sure what happened there, but he's clearly out of the qualification. And John Donkel now starting his fast lap, coming down to this little chicane, turn 1, then round turn 2, a little bit of a sort of right left there as they're approaching down to turn 3, round 4, right into 5, then a hard right into 6, left into 7, down the Mistral straight now, DRS open. Down to the Mistral chicane, turns 8, 9, nicely done, a little bit of slide there, straightens her up into the second part of the straight. The chicane there is obviously halfway down the straight, just to mix it up a little bit as he comes round the turn 10. Now he needs to start winding it down, round to 11, hard loop round 11, then he's got that hard left turn as he comes out of that into 12. Right into 13, left again into 14, really bring it down, and then you've got that hard right 15 bringing you on to the start finish straight. What can John Donkel do? Not looking too bad there. He's done a 1:31.7, so that puts him midfield, P9, he's safe. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds remaining of this queue, and at this moment in time, Marcel Dronig, well, he's in 15, could be in a bit of danger. John Donkel and Guido Airshine still out on track at this moment in time. Peter Phillips is for McLaren, he's out as well, he's currently in P16. And Jerome Portmer is currently in P18, so this still could change around. Let's go with Jerome Portmer now. He's coming round turn 10 to 11 now. 4 more turns, and he'll be on that start-finish straight. The question is, can he better that 1:32.72 from Marcel Dronig? That's what he needs to aim for. Certainly 1:32, mid 1:32, if he can. Oh, 1:32.8, he doesn't make it. He goes P17. Peter Phillips will be P16. And Marcel Dronig makes his way through. So he will be in Q2. So there you have it, in the drop zone. Peter Phillips for McLaren, Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso, Miguel Torni, unfortunately, DNF'd. So those are the 3 drivers. They'll be starting in 16, 17 and 18 respectively. And we'll be going to Q2 very shortly indeed. I've just been joined by John Donkel. John, are you there? You're a little bit quiet, my friend.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I might have to make some alterations here. Bear with me 1 second. Give me a count.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I've got you loud and proud now. So, interesting qualification there. What happened to your teammate?
Yeah, he crashed out on the fast right-hander. He can control that corner all week through. Throughout practice, he also had a lot of difficulties taking that corner right well.
So, what are you going to be looking to do? Obviously, you're through to Q2. Are you hoping to get through to Q3 as well on this one, John? I mean, you set a good time. You were
yeah.
9, so in theory, you should be able to get through.
Obviously, I'm targeting for place 1 till 5th, so I'm doing my best. But yeah, on the first hand, we of all F1 tonight on first hand, all members 600 plus want to congratulate you on your birthday, your 53rd, and obviously you're sitting here with us tonight, broadcasting our race. We're very proud to have you with us, and yeah, we hope you will have a great night.
Well, I'm sure I will have a wonderful night, and it's looking interesting because we've got now, looks like a bit of wet coming through for this qualification. So I'll let you crack on, John. Good luck, and I hope to see you in Q3.
Oh, will do. Thank you.
No worries. Good night. So here we are now in Q2, and it looks like we've got a little bit of damp coming down. The runners still obviously on the dry tyres. And as we can see, a bit of a mix here between the super softs and indeed the ultra softs as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers, roughly half the field here, going on super softs. The other half are on the ultra softs. So what can we do? We've got a little bit of damp conditions, so we may not see those times that we saw of the high 130s, low 131s. But time will tell. Looking pretty even at this moment. Ruben Bowman obviously setting a good opening pace, as did the Mercedes, but also the Saubers performing well. Nicky Visser and his teammate Marco Pullen. And certainly interesting to see what these guys are going to pull out of the bag for us this evening. I am expecting a good hard race. We had a fantastic race last week in Spain. Plenty of thrills, spills. Sorry, not last week. Yeah, it was last week, but it wasn't in Spain, it was in Canada. We had a great race in Canada. We did have a great race in Spain as well, but Canada was a great race. Thrills and spills, few drivers being claimed victims indeed of the wall of champions. So we'll see what happens on this race, and certainly on the start of this race, that little chicane there of turn 1, and then certainly through turns 3 to 7, very tricky. Everyone's going to be very close indeed. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. So conditions not wet enough as yet for drivers to go on to those intermediates. And we're riding on board now with Nicky Visser in the Sauber as he comes to the Mistral chicane, turns 8 and 9. Ryan Dronig in the Williams there, you can see just ahead of him. Oh! Looks like Mark Stappers has spun out. Mark Stappers from McLaren. Looks like he spun out, I think coming out of 9 by the looks of it. Trying to get himself facing the right direction now. Waiting for obviously the other runners and riders to clear so that he can get back onto the track. And there he is. Yeah, indeed. That was coming out of turn 9. So clearly you can see that the track is getting that little bit wetter, a little bit more slippery now. Everyone still remaining on the dry tyres, and Seb Bogart sets a 1:38.8. So we can clearly see that times have dropped down. Ryan Dronig for Williams, 138.9. Seb Bogart, Ferrari, 138.8. Ruben Bowman, 139.0. Nicky Visser, 139.5. Martin Parder Cooper, teammate to Ruben Bowman in the Red Bull there, 140.8. Guido Airshine in the Renault, 141.0. Damie Hartman in the Haas, 142.6. And Marcel Drodig in the Renault, 143.6. Remember, from these 15 drivers, we will be going down to 10, and I would suspect that in these conditions we're probably going to be looking at around about 142. I would suspect, once things pan out, will be the drop time that we would be looking at, but time will tell. So at the moment, just with Marcel Dronig, and Guido Airshine going off track there, and clearly it's getting a bit more slippery. You've got Mark Stappers now, had that little spin earlier, he's gone on to the intermediates. Bas de Breen also come into the pits, he looks like he's going on to the intermediates. Got just under 9 minutes remaining. Marco Pullen coming round now, you can see as he comes round the final turns, final 2 turns effectively. Round 14 now, into 15, we've got a yellow here as he's coming round to 15. Yep, into pits. So, number of drivers now looking to go onto the intermediates. And let's go with Bas de Breen, he's on those intermediates now. He's just coming round turn 6. Into 7 now, onto the straight. No DRS, as conditions now are classified as wet. So what can Bas do? His teammate set a 138.8. He's still to set a time. Comes out that Mistral chicane now, approaching turn 10. As I say, there are a number of high-speed corners, certainly 10, 11, and you've got to be careful as you're going around 12 into 13, but certainly 14, quite a tricky left-hander, and then you've got that hard right-hand turn onto the start-finish straight at 15, and then you've got that tricky section between turns 3 and 7 as well. So if you can imagine the track split into 4 sections, certainly when you're coming out of turn 15 down to turn 1, nice straight out of 1 to 2, a few low speed reverse alternate camber corners through 3 to 7, then you've got that lovely straight of the Mistral, brings you down to turns 8 and 9 of the chicane, slows everything right down, then you speed up again to 10, and as you go around 10, not too bad, but as you round 1, 11, that's when you hit those final quarter of turns 11, 12, 13, 14, and then into 15. So quite a tricky track. And Bas coming round now. Second attempt. I think the first one is opening up. Don't think he quite managed it. So let's stay with him at this moment in time. You could see quite a number of the runners onto the intermediates. Still a few on the dries, but they're all in the pits. Everyone that is out on track at this moment in time is on those intermediate tyres. And let's watch Bass here through that final section. There's 10, as I said. When you start to wind it around 11, it's almost doubles back on itself like a loop. And you come to the end of that, you've then got the left-hand turn, 12. Got to be careful as you come into there. Close in on that left-hand camber, then right, long, right is 13, then slow right down, hard left into 14, hit that camber there, and then right into 15, bring it right down second gear, and then open it up on that start-finish straight. What can Bass do? Lovely, a 142.8, so it puts him into provisional 8th place. So in the drop zone, we have Ruud Windahl on a 157.3. Next fastest, John Donkel on a 146.9. John, pretty good, the Force India driver in wet conditions, although he's about 3 seconds, 4 seconds off the midfield pace, and a good 6 seconds certainly off the a little bit of a mistake there, hits one of the boards. It's coming round 10 and 11 now. So not ideal for him. You can see conditions a lot more slippery now. Coming round. Final turn, 15. Can he better that 146.9? Ideally, wants to knock at least a couple of seconds or more off that. But stays there in 10. So Mark Stappers is out at this moment in time. Let's see what Mark in the McLaren can do. He's in the drop zone. Currently P12. Just going around, I think it was 5 into 6 now. Round 7. Onto that Mistral straight. Through the chicane, pedal to the metal again as he's building up speed now towards turn 10. Very tricky in these wet conditions. Winds it up now, round 11, needs to keep tight in. That right hand side, get ready now for the left into 12. Nicely done round there. Keep tight in on the right hand side for 13. Ride those curbs there into 14. Slow it right down into that final turn 15 on the start finish straight. What can Mark Stappers do? And he can't set a time. 2.5 minutes now remaining. Ruud Windahl in the Williams, clearly not enjoying these wet conditions. Down in 13th place. Oh, hits a speed barrier there. Sorry, a distance barrier. So he's down in 13. Marco Pullen also not reacting well to the wet conditions in the Sauber there. He's in currently P12, 144.9. Stan Drumkov, new Mercedes driver, equally suffering. He's currently P11 on a 144. So I was saying the drop down is going to be around about 142. A little bit out there. Certainly sitting pretty well on that 143 at this moment in time. And John Donkel is just holding on by the skin of his teeth at this moment in time. Mark Stappers now clearing the Mistral chicane, speeding towards turn 10. Only driver that hasn't set a time as yet, and could well be the man that pushes John Donkel of the Force India out of Q2. Time will tell now as he comes round. Can Mark Stappers in the McLaren pull it out of the bag? He's round 14. Into 15 now. He can't do it. He's on a 144 already, hasn't even approached the line. So he sets a 148 and goes into P13. Clearly not able to deal too well with these wet conditions. And it has certainly mixed things up somewhat. Ruben Bowman has DNF'd by the looks of it. Oh no, he's just quit out, so he's happy. Well, understandably, he's in third place with a 139.0. Nicky Visser still staying out there. He's currently P4. Feels that he may be able to pull something out of the bag on this one, but a number of the drivers in the pits. John Donkel still out. Only driver that's out on track at the moment that could really affect him is Mark Stappers. He's the only man on track at this moment in time who can push John Donkel out of this Q2, or rather Q3, as John is at the moment just about in on Q3. But Mark Stappers is the man that can spoil his day, and let's see if he does. Not looking too bad at the moment. I think he's certainly looking at a faster lap. Comes round. Into turn 14. It's going to be very, very tight. Don't think he's going to make it. We will see. He's out of 15. No. No, he's straight in the pits. So Mark Stappers stays in P13. Ruud Windahl will be P14. Boy Williamson will be P15. And Boy didn't even get out to make a time. I didn't even see on that one. So drop zone. Stan Drunkov will be P11. Marco Pullen for Sauber will be P12. Mark Stappers for McLaren will be P13. Ruud Windahl for Williams will be P14. And Boy Williamson didn't even get out on track, will be P15. Could have been the strategy call. If you're not comfortable in those wet conditions, you might look to get the tyre choice that you want for the start of the race. So we're just going to have a look at the times in Q2, and then we will go to the final Q3. So Seb Bogart takes the lead with 138.8 in the drop zone there. Stan Drumkov has said 144.4. Marco Pullen, Sauber 144.9. Mark Stappers, McLaren 148.2. Ruud Windahl 157.3, so clearly not a fan of the wet. And Boy Williamson didn't set a time, and he'll be starting in P15. So John Donkel for Force India does get through to Q3. Fantastic job. Marcel Dronig for Renault is there as well. Damie Hartman for Haas. Bas de Breen, Seb Bogart, Nicky Visser for Sauber. Ruben Bowman for Red Bull, his teammate also, Martin Parder-Cooper. So Damie Hartman for Haas is alone. John Donkel for Force India is alone, as is Ryan Dronig for Williams. So both Renaults through, both Ferraris through, both Red Bulls through. And first man out, Seb Bogart. So we'll run with Seb. Set the fastest time in Q2. 138. So he's out onto track now for his opening lap. Just over 11 minutes to go, and conditions have dried up again now. So the drivers will be on the dry tyres, and indeed everyone is on the ultra softs. Step now through this Mistral chicane, nicely done, over the curbs there, down in third, round 9. Can do this at top speed. Almost. There we watch it round, winding round, turn 10 into 11, now into 12, that left-hander, then right into 13, you're hugging that curve as much as possible, straighten her up into 14, slow it right down, hit that curve there on the right to 15, onto the start-finish straight. So he's starting his lap now. Round 6. Round 7, onto the straight now. Through the chicane. Looking good so far. Comes round 13. Into 14 now. Into 15. Final turn onto the start-finish straight. Looking very good indeed. 1:30.8. So matches the time that is set in Q1 with a 1:30.8. Ryan Dronig 1:33.5. Guido Airshine 1:31.2 for Renault. Nicky Visser now coming round in the Sauber. Round 14 into 15. This looks like a good time now from Nicky Visser. What can he do? Oh, 1:32.1. So Nicky Visser into 7. Martin Parder-Cooper set a 1:32.0. Damie Hartman 1:31.6. So Ryan Dronig just said, oh, we got that. Seb Bogart. Ruben Bowman a 1:30.884. So only 400ths off Seb Bogart in the first place, and he's split the Ferraris here in the front row. Only John Donkel to set a time, he's still in the pits. So Seb Bogart, provisional pole 1:30.840. Ruben Bowman in the Red Bull will be alongside him provisionally on a 1:30.884. Only 400ths off the Ferrari's time there. And Bastabreen very close in behind 1/10th. On a 1:30.981. Guido Airshine looking good for the second row alongside Bastabreen in 4th place, 1:31.2. Damie Hartman looking 3rd row with Martin Parder-Cooper. Oh, and look at this, Ryan Dronig sets a 1:31.0, so the Williams driver pushes the Ferrari driver into the 3rd row, takes 4th place. Good solid drive there from the Williams driver, Ryan Dronig. Let's go with Damie Hartman now. Damie taking it nice and steady. As he comes down to this little chicane here. 5, round 6 now. Round 7, as he will be in a second. There we go, round 6 into 7, onto the straight. Not a particularly fast time at this moment. Not too sure what the issue is there. I think he's actually potentially run out of fuel. I'm not too sure what's happened, or whether he's just getting the car warmed up in preparation for his fast lap. Clearly, Martin Parder-Cooper on a fast lap in the Red Bull there, just going through the Mistral chicane. Exiting that now, rapidly approaching turn 10. So Martin Parder-Cooper not looking too shabby at this moment in time. What can he do? I think that's probably going to leave him more or less where he is, but let's have a look. 127. Oh no, this could looking good now. 131.8 keeps him in his position though. P7. Davey Hartman in the pits, as is Guido Airshine, Ryan Dronig, Bas de Breen, Ruben Bowman just coming out on track now. Seb Bogart already out on track. Martin Parder-Cooper still out. Nicky Visser in the Sauber out. Marcel Dronig in the Renault. John Donkel coming out now. What can John do? Looks like he's on his out lap. Let's see. Let's stay with the Force India driver. He's done well. Good solid show here. As he comes down. Turn 3. Round 4 now. Threads it into 5, slow it down, round, turn 5, into 6, round to 7 now. First sector time not looking too bad, no purples, but looking solid. It's looking pretty good. I think he could push himself up probably round about to 8th place if he maintains this pace. Good speed round there. Round into 14 now. Looking good into 15. He's got a good pace here. Can he keep it now? What can he do? This is looking good for John Donkel. 131.8 puts him up into 7. So not too shabby at all. Puts him in the 4th row alongside Martin Parder-Cooper at the moment for Red Bull. Fastest lap, Seb Bogart, 130.1. So he's taken 7/10 out of Ruben. 8/10 out of his teammate Bas de Breen on his out lap now. So John Donkel, he's up into provisional P7. Nicky Visser still down in P9. I don't think he's going to be too happy with that. Struggling a little bit as he comes through the Mistral chicane now. Round turn 8, round 9. Sector 2 time, not too bad. Let's watch him now in this final sector. As he winds up to go around turn 12. To 13. Lines it up through the curbs, 14. Can he do? He's going to still, no, he's going to be high. I don't think he's going to better that time. No, he doesn't. 135, so not great from Nicky there. I'm sure he's be disappointed at Marcel Dronig. He's currently P10. He's on a 132.5, but Ruben Bowman has bettered that time, just missed that, but Ruben Bowman sets a blinding time of a 129.7 takes out 4/10 from Seb Bogart, and I'm sure Seb's going to be sitting there thinking, Jesus, what do I need to do? I don't think he was expecting that. Fantastic reply there from the Red Bull driver, and he's clearly getting his mojo back. He's performed well during qualification. It's been the race that he's had issues with DNFs, etc. So he did finish last week in Canada, got a fantastic second place result, which is ideally what he'd be looking for. So we're riding with Marcel Dronig now as he comes round final sector. What can he do? Looking low on that. Don't think he's going to be able to better that time. Coming round 14 now into 15. No, clearly won't better that 1:32.5 that he's already set straight into the pits there. So that's it. Only the drivers now remaining out on track, which are Nicky Visser, Martin Parder Cooper, Guido Ershine. Martin Parder Cooper 1:31.8. John Donkel's dropped down to 8, 1:31.8 as well. Damie Hartman got himself up to 7th, 1:31.3. Guido Ershine dropping down, he's in 6th now. Still in that 3rd row, Ryan Dronig will be alongside him. Bas de Breen still in that 2nd row, and Nicky, as Visser has split them. So Nicky Visser, Bas goes faster, 1:30.5. Nicky Visser will be alongside him on that 1:30.6. So only Guido Ershine now and Martin Parder Cooper out on track. Guido Ershine coming to the pits. He'll stick with that 6. Martin Parder Cooper coming round now, final sector. Let's see what he can do. And he does better that time, 1:31.3, pushes himself into 8th place. That's pushed John Donkel into row 5 alongside Marcel Dronig in the Renault. So Martin Parder Cooper now will be in row 4 alongside Damie Hartman in the Haas. Guido Ershine, P6, alongside him, Ryan Dronig in the Williams. So fantastic Q3 there. And what a blinding time set there by Ruben Bowman in the Red Bull. Absolutely phenomenal. Certainly not what I think the Ferraris were expecting. So there you have it. Ruben Bowman, Red Bull, takes pole, 1:29.7. Alongside him, Seb Bogart. Row behind, Bas de Breen in 3rd. Nicky Visser 4. Ryan Dronig for Williams 5, Guido Ershine for Renault 6, Damie Hartman for Haas is 7, Martin Parder Cooper for Red Bull 8, and in row 5, John Donkel for Force India 9, and Marcel Dronig for Renault is 10. So we'll be underway very shortly indeed for the processional lap of this F1 Tonight 2018 season Race 7 here at the Paul Ricard circuit for the Grand Prix de France. And what a great one it's going to be. And these conditions, oh, is it looking wet? Well, we were told that we would be looking at dry conditions, possibly going to wet and then dry again. So not too dissimilar from the qualification runs that we've just seen. Q1, nice dry. Q2 was most definitely wet, with drivers needing to go on to the intermediates, and then Q3, it dried up again. So we're here for our formation lap. And let's run through our drivers. So Ruben Bowman for Red Bull is P1. Behind him, or alongside him rather, Seb Bogart is P2. Behind them, Bas de Breen for Ferrari, P3. Nicky Visser for Sauber, P4. Ryan Dronig, row 3 for Williams, P5. Alongside him, Guido Airshine for Renault. Damie Hartman, row 4 for Haas. Alongside him in P8, Martin Parder Cooper, teammate to Ruben Bowman, he's in 8. John Donkel for Force India is in P9. Marcel Dronig for Renault is P10. Stan Drumkov for Mercedes is P11. Marco Pullen for Sauber, P12. Mark Schnappers for McLaren is P13. P14, Ruud Window missed out on Q2, clearly not a fan of wet weather conditions. Boy Williamson for Haas, he's in 15. Peter Phillips for McLaren will be 16. Jerome Portma for Toro Rosso, 17. Miguel Torni for Force India will be 18, bringing up the rear. So we follow them now. They're coming round Sector 3, getting ready to line up on the grids for the start of this F1 tonight, 2018 season, race 7. And it's the Grand Prix de France here at Paul Ricard Stadium. Very fast track, a lot of twists and turns, alternate cambers, reverse cambers as they're coming through the corners, and certainly sectors 1 and 3, the trickiest corners. Lovely long straight of the Mistral, broken up by the chicane of turns 8 and 9. There's some very high speed sections here. So just to remind you, 15 turns, 53 laps as they line up now for the start of this race. We are waiting now, final drivers to come into their grid slots. They're ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are off for the start of the F1 tonight. French Grand Prix, and Ruben Bowman stays in lead. Seb Bogart second, Basta Breen third, Nicky Visser. Oh, Nicky Visser moves out. Guido Airshine drops down in 4, and Nicky Visser dropping down into 6. Guido Airshine up into 5. Ryan Droning's moved up into 4th place now in the Williams, but Ruben Bowman goes wide as they're coming through those turns. But he maintains track position, no penalties as yet, looking pretty good. And we can see a number of drivers, Marcel Dronig, Ruud Window, Marco Pullen dropping down, Marcel Dronig dropping down. But at this moment, Ruben Bowman, Basta Breen's in 3rd, Ryan Dronig, great start from him, the Williams driver gets up to 4th place. Guido Airshine stays in 5th place, Damie Hartman is 6th, Nicky Visser, oh, he suffered big time, dropped down 3 places for the Sauber driver into 7th place. John Donker moves up 1 to 8. Martin Parder Cooper is now 9 as they come up to the Mistral chicane. Everyone through in the front runners looking good. So everyone through the Mistral chicane safely now, but clearly some people suffered on that start, and indeed Nicky Visser we see drop down 4, Marcel Dronig's dropped down 6. So not a great start from him at all. On tyres, well, we've got a mix, super softs, ultra softs, certainly the front 3 on the super softs, then the following 3 on the ultra softs. We do have John Donkel on the soft, so he's looking to go a little bit deeper into this race, as is Boy Williamson in the Haas, who's down in 16th place, just taking a place from Peter Phillips. So let's have a look and see where the action is. Well, Seb Bogart, he's just over a second now behind Ruben Bowman. Basta Breen just under a second behind his teammate. Ryan Dronig, another second or so behind him. Guido Airshine only 5/10 off the back of the Williams. So let's ride with the Renault, but he's under pressure as well from Damie Hartman in the Haas. Only 7/10 behind him. So real fight going on at the moment for 4 and 5. And really Guido needs to try and close down on Ryan, who got a flying start there, Ryan. Made up a good 3 places, but poor old Nicky Visser, he's in the pits, he's going onto the softs. He suffered big time there, must have had some sort of collision, must have had front wing damage to come into the pits, and he's gone onto the softs, so he's going to be looking to go quite a bit deeper into this race. I would expect him to be going into the mid-30s at this moment in time. So he's looking potentially, well, 2 stops certainly, possibly a 3 stop, but I think 2 stop is what he's going to be looking for. And Guido Airshine still trying to close in on this Williams. He's weaving, trying to find a way through. Let's ride on board now. As he comes through the 3rd sector into turn 14. This is the opportunity. Look at him closing down 14 now into 15. That right-hander onto the start, finish straight. They will not have DRS as yet. So he's very, very tight in, and DRS has been enabled. So on the next lap, Guido really closing in 2/10 off the back. And Damie Hartman only 7/10 off the back of him, so he's got to push. He's on the ultra softs, but Ryan Dronig is as well, as is Damie Hartman. So all 3 drivers on the ultra soft tyres. So position is important, and Guido clearly needs to get past this Williams. So they're on to the Mistral straight now. He's got DRS. What can he do with it coming down to turn 10? Certainly closes the gap up. But equally, Damie Hartman didn't have DRS, and you can see he's dropped down now, a good second behind. But hang on, let's go to Miguel Torney now. Miguel Torney closing in on the back of Jerome Portmer. But Guido Airshine closing in still on on Ryan Dronig. Oh, look at this now as they're coming around that final sector. So close. Round 13 now. Needs to put that medal down. Now down into 14. You can see Ryan Dronig trying to defend the best he can. He's got DRS now. Can he make something of it into turn 1? Damie Hartman does not have DRS, and the Renault driver running in the slipstream of the Williams pulls out now to go to turn 1. Nice move. But, oh, he's coming back. Ryan Dronig doesn't have any of it. Fights back. Still fighting back. They're side by side now as they're coming round. Turn 4. Oh, into 5. Round 6. And true grit. Oh, my goodness. And that's Seb Bogart, who's come off. Seb Bogart lost his place there as he's coming round 6. Must have been round 5 and 6. So Seb Bogart's dropped down into 6th place. That is not where he wants to be. Guido Airshine still fighting for Ryan Dronig, but Ryan now obviously moved up into 3rd place. Basta brings in 2nd. Ruben Bowman still in 1st. So Ruben is now 1st. Basta Brini is 2nd. Ryan Dronig is 3rd. Guido Airshine is 4th. Damien Hartman for Haas is 5, and Seb Bogart making a mistake through turns 5 and 6, went off track, needs to get that position back now. He's on the super soft, so he's looking to go reasonably deep, probably around about mid-20s, high 20s possibly, but it's going to be lower than that now because he's going to have to really push hard and fight his way through because he needs to get past this Haas driver first, then the Renault, and then the Williams. It's still pretty tight as it looks at this moment in time, because if we look at the times, it's only about 2 seconds from 6th to 3rd. So if Seb's going to do it, now is the time. He really needs to push through. Oh, and Guido's still fighting there with Ryan Dronig. Can he take the place there alongside again as they're coming through turn 4? Into turn 5 now. Oh my goodness. Round 6. Ryan Dronig is not giving an inch. DRS detection there. He will have DRS now on the Williams as they come down the Mistral. He needs to make that move. And Ryan Dronig defending now. Does he come down to turn 8? Does he get ahead of him? But look at this. Ryan Dronig goes alongside him. Cuts the corners a bit better and takes full advantage. Gets the place back. Guido Airshine fighting again. But he takes the place now. They're side by side. He's just ahead of him as they're coming down to turn 10. Oh, and he goes off track there. Oh, dearie me, comes in Bogart now all over the back of him, only 3/10 off the back of him. Davey Hartman has now moved up and he's closing down on Ryan Dronig in 3rd place. So good wheel-to-wheel action there, but Guido Airshine unfortunately went wide. We've seen Seb Bogart, he made the same mistake through turns 5 and 6. But now Davey Hartman looking to pull out, try and get ahead of Ryan Dronig, but Ryan, the Williams driver, defends so very well and really cuts those corners, fights back hard, but Damie takes the place from him, and now he's fighting again with Guido Airshine. And Guido takes the place from Ryan Dronig now. Oh, he goes wide again, but look, collision now between Ryan Dronig and Seb Bogart. The 3 cars all by side. Seb Bogart now going wide as he comes through. Ryan Dronig pushing through again. These cars are really having a battle here now as they come round 7, but Seb may have the advantage. Let's have a look. They're side by side. Guido Airshine in there as well. Ryan Dronig is on the inside. But I think advantage will be to Seb as they're coming through 10. Yes, indeed. Seb Bogart takes the place from Ryan Dronig, moves up into 4th place as they were coming out of 9 there. Sorry, Mistral chicane. And you can see the other 2 drivers there, Guido Airshine, John Donkel, really close behind these guys. And just behind John Donkel, Marco Pullen fighting there as well. So now Marco Pullen, John Donkel are closed down on the Renault, Guido Airshine and Ryan Dronig in the Williams. Seb Bogart has made his way through, but Davey Hartman is now in 3rd place and he's a good 2.5 seconds down the road from Seb, so Seb really has to put some work in now. Davey is on the ultra softs, Ryan Dronig, Guido Airshine on the ultra soft, but John Donkel performing really well on those softs there. Certainly fighting through, and he gets past the Renault driver of Guido Airshine, takes 6th place. Marco Pullen now is looking to close in as well, but Guido all over the back of John Donkel. He's got the DRS. No, he didn't. So they come around turn 1 now. Into 2. Down into 3. Look at this. So close behind him. You can see some really good action. Ryan Dronig trying to close down now on the back of that Ferrari, Seb Bogart. John Donkel zoning in now on that Williams as well. And Guido Airshine still in the mix there. Clearly not looking to get the grip that he wanted through those sequences of turns. But look at this, Ryan Dronig really pushing now alongside John Donkel. But John just managed to get out of the Mistral turn 9 ahead of him. But look at these 4 cars, so close to one another. This is really good action here. Oh, and Ryan goes wide, as does Guido Airshine, out of 10. John Donkel still holding that place, and what a great race so far from John Donkel, the Force India driver. Let's have a quick look at the position changes. So John Donkel's moved up 4 places, as is Davey Hartman. I was looking at that as well. Marco Pullen, he's moved up 4, Rude Window 5, Boy Williamson 5. The losers, unfortunately, Martin Parder Cooper, Nicky Visser, oh, he's dropped 12 places. He's going to be so disappointed with that. 3 stops from the last 3 drivers. Other than that, everyone's holding their place. Marcel Dronig, 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. But John Donkel looking so strong, he's got up to 5th place. He's on a set of softs, so I would expect him to go certainly into the 30s on those, although he has been pushing hard. Times looking good, obviously we're only on lap 8. But Seb Bogart has managed to get himself back now up into the running. He's in 4th place. He's closed down that gap to Davey Hartman. Was around about 2.3, 2.4 seconds. He's got it down to about 8/10 now, so he will have DRS on the Haas driver, John Donkel, to 4.5 seconds behind them. Marco Pullen in 6, Ruud Window in 7, Ryan Dronig's dropped down to 8. Boy Williamson for Haas is 9, Stan Drumkov for Mercedes is 10, Martin Paardenkoper is 11, Marcel Dronig is in 12, 13 Mark Stappers from McLaren, 14 Guido Airshine. Oh dear, it hasn't gone the way he wanted, and as I thought, he has pitted and he's gone on to another set of Ultra Softs. So he's going to look to try and get his way through this field now. Miguel Torni is out. Oh no, there he is, sorry. He's out of the pits. He's on a set of Super Softs. Jerome Portma for Toro Rosso, he's in 17. Peter Phillips, unfortunately in the McLaren, bringing up the rear there. So Ruben Bowman is really starting to consolidate his lead. He's 8.5 seconds down the road from Bastabreen in the Ferrari. 15 seconds behind them is John Donkel, and he's moved up into 3rd place with those pit stops that have come through. Yellow flag. No, it's green. We're looking good. So Seb Bogart has gone out. My goodness, what's going on here? Seb Bogart and Jerome Portma are out. So clearly Seb had crashed. It must have been out of 6 and 7 again. So I don't know if he lost it out of there. But Seb Bogart for Ferrari is out, as is Damie Hartman for Haas. So sorry we missed that action there, but as you can appreciate, a lot going on. Unfortunately, I can't go back to drivers once they've DNF'd. So if anyone is listening from Codemasters, it'd be really handy if we could still pick out those drivers, so at least we have an idea as to what happened to them on the track. But now Ruud Window has moved up into 5th place. He's doing well as well. Boy Williamson, Stan Drumkov's now up to 7. Martin Paardenkoper's up to 8. Mark Stappers 9. Nicky Visser has now moved up to 10. And Ryan Dronig, he's down in 11. He was fighting so hard earlier. And again, just check, see if he's actually come in. He has, yep. So from 10 down, they've all come in. You can see, if I use my eyes, that he's on a new set of Super Softs. Marcel Dronig on a new set of Ultra Softs. So let's go with Stan Drumkov. He's on the original Ultra Softs. So I just want to have an idea of how deep these Ultra Softs can go into the race. And a good show here from the Mercedes driver. He's done well. He's moved up 4 places, but the winners here, as you can see, look at this. Boy Williamson's moved up 9, Ruud Window 9, Marco Pullen 8, and John Donkel 6. So those guys in 6th, 5th, 4th and 3rd places, they're the ones who've clearly got the most out of this. And interestingly, they're on a bit of a mixed bag there. 2 of them on the softs, John Donkel and Boy Williamson, and Marco Pullen and Ruud Window on the Ultra Softs. All 9 laps old, so these are the tyres that they actually started the race with. So again, I just want to see how long these Ultra Softs are going to go in for. I would expect them to go certainly to the teens. But again, it was all a question of how hard these drivers have been pushing. And they have been pushing very hard. And Ruud Window now starting to look down the back. Marco Pullen's car in the Sauber. Yep, and that's Ruud Window into the pits. So Ruud Window into the pits. Marco Pullen is still out. He's moved up into 4th place. Boy Williamson's now moved up to the 5th. And Stan Drumkov's moved up to 6th. Ruud Window still in the pits, just coming out now. And he's going to come out in 10th place. But he will be on a new set of Super Softs. So that should take him to round about the 40s, early 40s, mid 40s, and he'll probably go on to a set of Ultra Softs then. But we're running with Ruben Bowman, our race leader in the Red Bull, Bastabreen in the Ferrari, 9 seconds down the road behind him. John Donkel, oh what a result here. John Donkel's up into 3rd place on that set of softs, and he's going to be able to go a lot deeper into this race. And he is 16 seconds, let's have a look at this, 25 seconds behind the race leader pits here, it's quite a quick pit entry and exit, so I'd expect we'd be looking round about sort of 18 seconds or thereabouts for a pit stop. So John not quite in the window to take the place from Ruben Bowman, but certainly in the window to take second from Bas de Breen when he does pit. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually pans out. But Marco Pullen is now closing down on him. Remember, Marco is on a nice set of ultra softs, but they are 11 laps old. Oh, and John going a little bit wide there. Marco Pullen, 3-second time penalty. So they're winding up round 4 and 5. Into turn 6 now. And this is where it can tell. This is where Marco can try and make that gap up. He's got DRS. Can he do something before they get into the chicane? Certainly closed down on the back of John there. They're coming out of 9 now. Building up speed towards 10, and you can see Boy Williamson there as well, just in the background, behind Marco Pullen in the Sauber. So wind it up, round 10, into 11. Left-hander 12, right into 13 now, then straighten up over the curbs, aim straight for that 14, into final turn 15 there. What can Marco Pullen do? He's 8 tenths off the back. Boy Williamson into the pits. Oh, sorry. That was Marco Pullen for Sauber into the pits, Damie. Boy Williamson for Haas now closing in on the back. So Marco Pullen managed to go 11 laps on those ultra softs. But now John is under pressure from Boy Williamson, but they are both on the softs. Boy looking a little bit twitchy. As they were coming out of 7. Closing down to John. Still not able to make a move, and John holding his own there. But now he's got it on the exit. Can he do anything with it now? So coming into 10. Still maintaining that distance, only 2 tenths, 3 tenths. But John looking nice and solid there around this third sector. So comes round 13. Into 14. Hit that apex and then hit this apex here on 15. Nicely done. Pedal to the metal now. Boy Williamson pulling out. He's got the DRS. He's alongside. He's got the line into turn 1. Oh yes, nice move there. Boy Williamson takes 3rd place from John Donkel, but he goes wide. Oh, where are 2? Carrying too much speed into there. Round 3 now. John already 7 tenths behind him. So clearly that Haas has the better speed. Out of 6 into 7 now. Let's see what he can do on that straight. John Donkel does have DRS. I don't think it's going to come to much before they can get to that chicane. Certainly closed the gap down a bit more. It's only down to 4 tenths now. But Bas de Breen, Ruben Bowman now, 11 seconds, nearly 12 seconds down the road from Bas. The lone Ferrari, as Seb Bogart went out earlier on. Looks like, if I remember correctly, I think it was lap 8, 7 or 8. Clearly misjudged it and I think that was in sector 1 coming out of turn 6 and 7, although there may have been a collision between himself and Damie Hartman, as there was really close between those guys as well, so could have been an error compounded, and both cars DNF'd, as I say. Unfortunately we can't go back, so I can't really see that. And Peter Phillips has been disqualified. We'll have to see what happened there. We can check that at the end of the race. So we are down to 14 runners and riders. Miguel Torney for Force India is DNF'd. Seb Bogard is DNF'd. Damie Hartman DNF'd. And Peter Phillips has been disqualified for McLaren. Now, Ruben Bowman has come in. Basta Breen has taken the lead provisionally from him. Ruben now 10 seconds behind him. He's gone on to a set of super softs. And Basta Breen still on super softs. Now the question is, can Ruben make up the difference now? 10 seconds. As soon as Bas pits, Ruben will have that place from him. So the question is Bas going to pit now, or is he going to stay out? Round 13 now. Into 14. Final turn, 15. Is he going to come in? Is he going to stay out? He's coming in. Now it's down to Ruben Bowman. What can he do? He's 8 seconds down the road behind him. Now I would expect him to get about 10 seconds out, because I'm working on around about 18 seconds for the pit stop. And indeed, Basta Breen just coming out now. Ruben Bowman into turn 1. So we'll soon get an idea of what's happened. So Ruben Bowman takes that first place back. Now, interestingly, Bas has gone on to a set of super softs as well. But Boy Williamson and John Donkel have moved ahead of him. So Boy Williamson up into second. John Donkel is into third. As I expected, but Boy has really been pushing. So great drive there from the Haas driver. So indeed, and Basta Breen is actually a lot further behind than I expected. So it is a longer pit stop. Round about 22 seconds. 23 seconds. But Bas comes out in fourth. He's on a set of super softs. That should take him, one would expect, through to certainly the 40s. As indeed Ruben Bowman. But the question here is, how long can these soft drivers remain out? Boy Williamson and John Donkel. And John has done a phenomenal race. And let's just double check here the position changes that he's got. John Donkel, 6 places. But Boy Williamson, God, I do apologise to the Haas driver there, missing that out. But I've been concentrating on John. But Boy Williamson, look at this. 13 places. Remember, he didn't come out in the final Q. Sorry, in Q2 at all. So he took 15th place. And whether that was a strategy call or not, I'm not too sure, but it certainly paid dividends for him. You can see just in the background there, Basta Breen onto the start-finish straight. But John Donkel staying with Boy Williamson. But what a great race here from the Haas driver. Really has shown what he is capable of. Got himself through the field there. Moved up 13 places. John Donkel has moved up 6. So great result there, but Bas close in behind them now. And he'll obviously be able to take advantage once they come in. And the question is now, when will they come in? I would expect them, as I said, to come in round about lap 30s. Could be the high 20s. All depends on the tyre deg that they've actually got. And see if I can actually have a look on here and see. You can see. Let's have a look on here. Get the right light. They're not looking too bad. Clearly we're on that inside left there on John Donkel. And indeed on Boy Williamson as well. So that's where the majority of the wear is. Ruben Bowman now coming out. Start lap 18. Boy Williamson 13.5 seconds down the road behind him. John Donkel 2.5 seconds behind him. Basta Breen only 6/10 now off the back of John Donkel. So clearly he's looking to move, and you can see John taking the outside there, but is he letting the Ferrari through? Oh, straight through, look at that. Much faster speed there, but I think he may have exceeded the track limits there. Not too sure, we'll see if any penalty comes up. But Basta Breen now moves up into 3rd place. And John Donkel, why he's moved there, doesn't really need to fight too hard. He's on a set of softs, so that'll take him a lot deeper into the race, and this will be decided much later on. So as long as he can try and stay with him, obviously the super softs, better tyre, fresh set of boots, so he would be faster. But now he's closing in on the back of Boy Williamson, and important that he gets past him, because he needs to open up that gap for his next pit stop window. But Ruben Bowman really stomping away now. 15.5 seconds down the road from Boy Williamson. And let's get back here, because Martin Paardenkoeper is closing in on Nicky Visser. Nicky's come back hard. He really has. Dropped right down. Suffered majorly on that first lap in Sector 1. Dropped right down to the back of the pack. Managed to fight his way back now. So Nicky Visser has gone up into 5th place. He's closing in on the back of John Donkel. 6 seconds behind him, but shouldn't be too long. Martin Paardenkoeper trying to close in on the back of Nicky, but not able to do it. I think actually Nicky took the place from him. So Nicky Visser starting to carve his way through the field for Sauber, his teammate Marco Pullen. He's currently down in 9th place. But these front runners here on the softs, these are the guys who've really won out. John Donkel there, 4th place. Boy Williamson is in 2nd. And look at this. Look at this. Oh, real fight here. Bass takes the place from Boy Williamson now. So Bass moves up into 2nd place. Boy Williamson in 3rd. Clearly that fresher set of super softs really making a difference. Marco Pullen picking up the 3-second time penalty there for Sauber. But Bass is really moving fast and furious through the field now on those super softs. And this is going to prove interesting. He's got Ruben Bowman 18 seconds down the road to him. So what can he do? Will he be able to close that gap down? Well, they're on pretty similar tyres. It's a big gap. Now, obviously, Ruben got the undercut on him earlier on the pit stop. And that's the only hope that Bass will have now. He's got to stay out. He's got to stay out, and he's likely to let Ruben Bowman pit first to try and see if he can close that gap down further. Right now, he needs to concentrate on about the next 10 laps or so, because that's what he needs to do to close that gap down. If at the end of 10 laps, he can take about, well, he needs to take at least, well, I'd say about a second a lap out of him, if he can. But I think that's going to be a really tough ask. But Boy Williamson, he's in 3rd place. Great result from him. John Donkel, he's in 4th. Nicky Visser As I say, great fight back from the Sauber driver there. He's up to 5th. Martin Paardekoper for Red Bull. He's up into 6th. Stan Drumkov performing solidly for Mercedes. He's in 7th. Ruud Window is up to 8th. Marco Pullen, he's still in 9th. Guido Ehrschein, well, he's settled down, but he's down in 10th. Had a great start to this race, but hasn't been, unfortunately, able to deliver during the course of the race. Mark Stappers for McLaren now closing in on the back of him. Ryan Dronig, hasn't really had the race he was looking for. He's down in 12th place. Marcel Dronig for Renault, he's behind him in 13th. And Jerome Portma for Toro Rosso, solid, but he's down in 14th. What can he do? We're on lap 21 of 53, rapidly approaching the halfway mark. And let's quickly go to Mark Stappers because he's closing in on the back of Guido Ehrschein. They're coming through turn 6 into 7. He will have DRS. Can he make anything out of it before they get down to turn 8? Closes down the gap, but can't really do anything. Straight off track there, around turn 9. So, Mark Stappers falling back now behind the Renault driver of Guido Ehrschein. But Marco Pullen is closing in on the back of the Williams of Ruud Window. Certainly, he won't give up that place easily. Fights very hard as the Williams driver. But Marco Pullen, equally competent. He's certainly going to be looking to make the move on him as soon as he can. He's got that gap down. He's under 6/10 now. What can he do with it? And Ruben Bowman is just pulling out ahead now. He's got 22 seconds down the road from Bas de Breen. So he's actually pulled out 4 seconds in the past 2 or 3 laps. Fantastic. He's really got the power down. Boy Williamson staying in 3rd. John Donkel in 4th. Nicky Visser maintaining that 5th place. Stan Drumkov from Mercedes in 6th. Martin Paardekoper is 7th. Ruud Window, as we can see here, is in 8th. Marco Pullen in 9th. Starting to draw him in, but now we're starting to get damp. Yeah, we're starting to get some rain coming down on the track. And this now is really going to mix things up. So we did say that we're expecting a dry to wet to dry. And the question is, how long can these guys stay out on these dry tyres? And indeed, can they stay out on them without having to come in for intermediates? Because that'll really mix things up. But Ruben Bowman's looking good. I mean, he's 22 seconds ahead of Bas de Breen. I said I was looking at the pit around about 22, 23 seconds. So he's got 23 seconds now. So if needs be, he could still come in for that set of intermediates and potentially get out ahead of Bas. But I'm sure Bas is more than aware of that and is going to be watching that. Equally, so is Boy Williamson and John Donkel, because they're on 22 set old softs. So these tyres are not going to be reacting well to these damp conditions, and we could well see them come in. Now we would expect them to come in around about sort of the 30s to change those tyres. And indeed, Boy Williamson has moved up into 2nd place. Bas de Breen has dropped down into 3rd. So missed what was happening there, but clearly a little bit of a slip on track, and Boy Williamson has taken advantage and moved up into 2nd place. This is not what Bas was looking for. because this just plays very much into the hands of Ruben Bowman, and indeed Ruben Bowman is 32 seconds down the road from Bas de Breen now, so clearly a hiccup from Bas going around the corners, lost it. John Donkel solid in 4, but John is pretty solid when it comes to wet conditions anyway. So he's just about to go to lap 22. He's staying out, starting lap 23. Nicky Visser is now breathing down his neck in 5th place. And John going defensive into turn 1. He knows that he's got Nicky very, very close behind him, only 2/10, and the conditions are getting a lot wetter. John Donkel picks up 3-second time penalty exceeding track limits, and that was round turn 1 there. So as it comes round 3, this is where you've got to be careful now on this sector 1, turns 4, 5 and 6. They are both on soft tyres. They have gone same distances. John Donkel's tyres just 1 lap older. So they've got the DRS now out of 7. Obviously won't be active because of the wet conditions. Forgot that one. Oh. Out of 9, and it's clearly getting very slippery in there. Ryan Dronig's come into the pits, as has Marcel Dronig. They're going on to the intermediates. Now this is the question. John Donkel, Boy Williamson, Bas de Breen has taken that place back from Boy Williamson. So whether there was an issue there or not, but Bas de Breen has taken the place back now. Ruben Bowman's come into the pits. He's gone on to the intermediates. He's well ahead. No problem at all there. You can see Jerome Portman coming out just behind him as well. So Ruben's taken full advantage of that gap. Gone down onto the intermediates. Bas de Breen clearly is going to be pitting now. Oh, and he slides it round 15. No! This is not what he wanted. Oh my goodness. Just too slow now, and he's now behind another row of drivers as they're coming into the pits. John Donkel is in, going on to set of intermediates, and this really has mucked up his race. No end. Nicky Visser is now provisional 2nd, but he's in the pits as well. John Donkel is 2nd and out. So can John Donkel get out? Williams drive, everybody's coming in now, but Ruben Bowman, he's happy. He's on lap 25. He's got a fresh set of intermediates on. John Donkel comes out in 2nd place, but he's 41 seconds, 42 seconds down the road from Ruben Bowman. But what a great result there for John Donkel. Nicky Visser, well, he's going to be a happy bunny now. He's up into P3. He's on a fresh set of intermediates. Boy Williamson. So everyone's gone on to the intermediates now at the same time. Everybody came in. Bas de Breen, he's down in 5th place. Stan Drumkoff, solid in 6. Martin Parder-Cooper, 7. Marco Pullen, 4. Sauber, 8. Ruud Window, Williams, 9. Guido Airshine, Renault, 10. Ryan Dronig, 11 for Williams. Mark Stabbers, 12 for McLaren. Marcel Dronig, 13 for Renault, and Jerome Portman, 14. So everyone pretty much in on the same lap, apart from Ryan Dronig, who came in a little bit earlier. Ruben Bowman was certainly the first of all the pack to come in, our race leader, and he's now looking good. It's on lap 26. We're halfway through this race, and this is F1 tonight. 2018 season, race 7, and we are here at the Paul Ricard circuit in France. And what a race it has been. Race 7, we've seen some fantastic races. Great race last week in Canada, race 6. Great week before, race 5 in Spain. And this season is really, really opening up. If you're new to F1 tonight, we broadcast every Thursday night. So if you're watching us now, you haven't seen us before, then please make sure you tune in next week and every other Thursday. If you're watching us and you watch us all the time, tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody that you know who's an F1 fan, you've got to watch this. A lot of people say, well, it's not real world, it's not the real thing. Well, let me tell you, it may not be the real thing, but this is equally as hard in esports and you can guarantee you're going to see a race with action. But Rude Window, oh my goodness, Rude Window has DNF'd, as has Miguel. Oh no, Rude Window, no one else involved, so the Williams driver is out. Don't know where that happened, as I say, unfortunately can't go back to see where they are. Bastabreen is in 5th place and he's closing in on the back of Boy Williamson, only 7/10 off the back of him. Boy Williamson for Haas in 4th, and boy, what a job he has done. And that actually worked. Boy, what a job he's done. So, position change, 11 places for Boy Williamson. John Donkel, 7. Martin Pardakuber, 2. Marco Pullen, 5. Stan Drumkov, 3. Loser, Bastabreen, he's dropped down 2. But Ruben Bowman, he's maintained that 1st place. Look at this. Looking solid in 1st place is Ruben Bowman. Everybody on the intermediates, lap 27. What can they do? Nicky Visser starting to close in again on the back of John Donkel. We saw them closing in before they went into the pit stops. And Rude Window is out, as I said. So only Ryan Drodick for Williams remaining. He's down in 10th place. And this is where Nicky is going to start to push now through this sector 1. John going defensive into turn 1 there. Let's go on board with Nicky Visser as they come around 2. Line it up now. Hard break into 3. Round 4. Now 5. So tricky this turn 6 here. You've got to watch it onto the left-hand side. Watch your pace. Open it up. Hit that curb on the right. On the left, 7. Nicely done. Onto the Mistral straight. So Nicky Visser closing in on the back of the Force India. And you can see in the background there, Boy Williamson, Bastabreen, and Bass closing in on the back of the Haas now as well. So good, solid fighting going on here between 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th. But look at this now, Nicky's got it down to 800ths of a second. Oh, and he goes wide. Nicky goes wide around sector 3 there. Not what he wanted to do. He's closing in, so close. And he's sliding, you can see that back end sliding there as they come round. 13, Ryan Dronick, 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. My goodness. That is really, really going to make him suffer. He's going to drop down to P12 to come round 15 now. What can he do? We're on board with Nicky Visser. He's bearing down on the Force India. John Donkel takes the place from him into turn 1. Yes, Nicky Visser in the Sauber makes the move, makes it stick. Takes 2nd place from John Donkel. Is it coming through? Turns 3 and 4. So close. So close. John pretty good in the wet there. Round 5. This is the tricky turn. Turn 6. And then into 7. But Nicky already starting to pull out ahead from John Donkel in the Force India. But Boy Williamson defending well. The Ferrari driver, Bastabreen, but Bass making a move into turn 8. Into chicane, no, can't mix it. Stays ahead of Boy. Boy stays ahead. Bass looking to try and get a little bit more pace on the exit of 9. Can he do anything now? Is it coming down to 10? But Boy closes the door on him, doesn't give him the opportunity. Oh, and they hit! They hit! Oh my goodness! And Bastabreen was right off there. Contact, full contact there between Boy Williamson and Bastabreen. And I think he will slowed right down. I don't know how much damage he's actually got on there. No damage on his front wing. Let's have a look at Bastabreen. Yep, he's got damage. Front right. Boy Williamson. looking okay, but real major coming together there, but he's into the pits. Boy Williamson into the pits, as is Master Green into the pits as well. John Donkel's in the pits as well, he's going on to the dries. So, yeah, we've seen that little rain cloud now has gone. So, John Donkel now, he's gone on to a set of super softs. Nicky Visser onto a set of super softs. Ruben Bowman has pitted and come out and gone onto a set of softs. That will clearly take him to the end of this race. So Ruben Bowman, again, called it beautifully, came in, got onto a set of softs. He's only got 24 laps to do on those, no problem at all. Nicky Visser, he's gone onto a set of super softs. Could be pushing it, but he did start on the softs or around the softs earlier, so probably hasn't got much choice on there. Same as John Donkel, 24 laps. It's certainly doable on a set of super softs, but could get a little bit dodgy towards the end, depends how hard the push. Boy Williamson, he's gone onto a set of super softs as well. Basta Breen has got onto a set of softs, and that could be interesting because potentially we could be needing to see Boy, John and Nicky come in. In their case, Bass will have the advantage, so he could still get himself up into a podium finish, depending upon how things pan out in the remainder of the 23 laps of this race. Martin Parder-Cooper, Red Bull, is in 6th. Marco Pullen, he's pulling up slowly, getting through the field. He's up into 7th. Guido Airshine's moved up as well. He's up to 8th. Marcel Dronig is 9. Ryan Dronig is 10. Mark Stappers from McLaren is 11. 12. Stan Drumkov, ooh, not come off too well there. Oh, Mark Stappers losing it on the corner there, loses places to Stan Drumkov and I think Jerome Portman. Yeah, no, Jerome Portman still behind him. So there you have it. Race leader Ruben Bowman looking solid there, 40 seconds down the road from second place, Nicky Visser, but let's not take it away from Nicky. He may have started up at the front, but he dropped right down, so great performance from him to come back from that. And indeed, John Donkel as well. He's performed really solidly here. Hasn't been silly. Running his own race, but it's doing well. It's giving him a podium finish at this moment in time. So, John Donkel is in 3rd, Boy Williamson is in 4th, Basta Breen still in 5th. Not the race that Ferrari were looking for. Seb Bogart went out early on in this race. And the remaining Ferrari has struggled. Really missed out on the last pit stop, was coming in looking good. He was looking good to maintain his place, but unfortunately, little too much power as he was coming out of turn 15. Did a 360 before getting into the pits, that then opened up the window for John Donkel and Boy Williamson to get into the pits ahead of him, and that's what's dropped him back, and Nicky Visser indeed. So he really lost out on that one there, but now he needs to try and make it up as best he can. He's got 22 laps remaining, and it is possible. It all depends on how these super softs perform for Boy Williamson, John Donkel and Nicky Visser, and that is his only hope, is that those guys will suffer and that the softs will come into a window which will allow him to really open up and get his way through the field. He has done it already during the course of this race. But Nicky Visser is starting to close down that gap now. 38.7 seconds. Was at 40 and 43, so he is slowly eating into that. So it could be that Ruben Bowman's just got himself settled into a nice flow. It's looking pretty good. Let's go down the field now. Guido Airshine's moved on to 8th place. Let's have a quick look at the position changes. So Nicky Visser did start in 4th, dropped right down to the back of the field, got himself back up to 2nd again. John Donkel, well, he started down in 10th. He's got himself up to 3rd. Boy Williamson was in 15th. He's got himself down to 4th. Basta Breen, well, he did start in 3rd. Hasn't had a great race. Dropped down 2 places to 5th. Martin Parder-Cooper for Red Bull. He's moved up 2. Marco Pullen for Sauber. He's moved up 5. So Sauber performing well. Guido Airshine, Renault, he's dropped 2. Marcel Dronig, Renault, he's improved by 1. Ryan Dronig for Williams, not his race. He's dropped 5. Stan Drunkov stays even where he is. Mark Schnappers, he's moved up 1, and Jerome Portmer, he's moved up 4. Obviously, we have DNFs from Ruud Windau for Williams, Miguel Torni for Force India, Seb Bogart for Ferrari, Damie Hartman for Haas, Peter Phillips for McLaren. So Nicky is slowly but surely starting to eat into that gap. So, apologies for that, a little bit of issue there with the voice, but we're back on. Nicky Visser can't get any closer, can't close the gap down anymore. It's maintaining at 38 seconds. John Donkel's 5 seconds down the road behind him. Boy Williamson, another 3 seconds behind him, and Basta Breen is another 10 seconds behind them. So Ferrari not looking good for them this evening, unfortunately. Certainly not the race that they were hoping to have. As I say, Seb Bogart dropped out earlier. But now we're into the final third, almost, of this race. We only have 19 laps remaining of the 53. We've seen some collisions, although not too bad. Certainly at the beginning of this race, we've seen some unexpected DNFs, certainly from Seb Bogart, Damie Hartman. I think there may have been a coming together of those drivers. We will find out in due course. Some great fighting here. Certainly Ryan Dronig was defending very, very solidly earlier on during this race, but hasn't really paid dividends for him. Renault not looking too bad. They're staying more or less in field, although Guido Eschon, I'm sure, will be disappointed with his current position in 8th place. He was putting in some hard fighting, as I said, with Ryan Dronig, and again, I mean, Ryan is 13 seconds behind him, so they could well have another fight coming up towards the end of this race. But Marco Pullen for Sauber is going well. Martin Parder-Cooper for Red Bull looking solid as well for the points. Basta Breen, as I said, for Ferrari, not been Ferrari's race, but Boy Williamson has done a great job there in the Haas. Started in 15th place. He's moved up. Oh, and he's taken the place there from John Donkel. And they're fighting. Oh, didn't see that coming. So apologies for missing on that one. But Boy Williamson takes the place from John Donkel, and it looks like that was on the start-finish straight into turn 1. Oh no, apologies, that was probably actually out of turn 10. Oh, and he's going wide there, but John Donkel's right on the back of him. He's going to have the DRS. What can he do into turn one? Can John take that place back from Boy? He is a podium that he's looking at, so he needs to try and come back to him. They're both on the super softs, both sets of tyres, same age, 6 laps. John really closing in on the back of him now. So they're coming around turns 4 and 5. Around turn 6. Into 7, but you can see that Haas got that speed, he's got DRS. Can he make anything into turn 8? As I say, this is for podium. And certainly John needs to fight against Boy. He is his major competitor in this race. We've got 17 laps left, and I thoroughly expect a real gladiatorial fight between these two, because it is important to both drivers. Both drivers performed fantastically well during the course of this race. Boy Williamson with the greatest movement, certainly within the field, but John Donkel has done a great job as well from 9th place. Boy Williamson starting in 15th, so he's moved up 12. And we can see the superior speed of that Haas is really paying off, and I think that's where John has come to win. Unfortunately, on these straight sections, the Force India just doesn't have the power, but certainly through that sector 1 and sector 3 with all these twists and turns, that's where the Force India has made up and had the advantage. But Bass still 7 seconds off the back of these guys, so he really needs to pull it out of the bag. He is on a set of softs, these guys are on the super softs, and clearly they are pushing quite hard. The question is, can they take them to the end of the race, or will they need to pit? I would suspect that they have the possibility of going to the end of the race, but I would suspect that they are likely to pit before and go onto a 3-stop. And that being the case, I think that's what Bass is hoping for as well, because that would release him and give him certainly potentially a podium finish. He's 16 seconds. Not 16 seconds. What I'm saying is 8 off the back of John Donkel. Yeah, 17 seconds off the back of Boy Williamson. He's not 10 seconds. Sorry, I can't calculate now. I'm going mad. Must be the alcohol that I've had today. By the way, it's my birthday today, so if I don't sound my usual self, it could be the alcohol that has been consumed. Fortunately, I do not drink and drive. I just drink and commentate. But here we are on lap 37 of 53. What a race this has been. And what a race from these two drivers here, John Donkel and Boy Williamson. They really have performed so very well. But equally, let's not take it away from Nicky Visser in the Sauber. Now, Nicky obviously did start up at the front, but that said, he had a collision, had to come in, fell right back. And if memory serves me correct, I think he was actually, if not at the back of the field, very close indeed. He's managed to fight his way back, and it's been a fantastic response and return drive from him, and it's put him up into 2nd place, and he is looking pretty solid on that P2 at this moment in time. So one would expect him to maintain that position certainly to the end of this race. But as I said, he is on a set of super softs. Now, by my calculations, they should be enough to take them to the end, although it could be a little bit twitchy. And Boy Williamson as well behind him, and John Donkel. Now, I said this earlier, and I will say it again, they can potentially go to the end of this race, but it could be questionable. And that being the case, that is what Bas de Breen is really hoping for. So at this moment in time, Bas is only 7 seconds off the back of Boy Williamson. Or 8 seconds effectively. So if they were to pit, he would certainly get up into P3. And P2 is within his range. Again, should Nicky come in, but one would expect that would be tight. We're looking around about 20 seconds to second place Nicky Visser at this moment in time. So it really means that Bas has got to stay in there, look after his tyres and be aware of what's happening ahead of him. So there is still the potential for that Ferrari to finish on the podium, but it all depends on what these guys here are going to do. Ruben Bowman, well, he is still convincingly in the lead. The gap was down to around about 38 seconds to Boy Williamson. Nicky Visser opened up a little bit more, it's about 39.5 seconds, but he's clearly in a league of his own there. Really played this well, certainly called the pit stops well, was early on to the intermediates from everyone else. Ryan Dronig did go on earlier, but Ruben called it perfectly. Came in ahead of everyone else, got onto the intermediates equally. When he came in and went onto the softs, he was ahead of the pack. Came in, called it well. So strategy-wise, he's done a great job. Driving-wise, he's done a great job. And it could be that we are seeing the return of Ruben Bowman, the season 3 winner. And he hasn't had a great start at all to this season, but he can certainly make up that difference. And if he performs like this going forward, it's certainly looking very, very strong indeed. Well, Seb Bogart is currently our championship leader. He did drop out, unfortunately DNF'd. Damie Hartman is currently second place in the championship, but Damie is out as well. Bas is third. He's currently on 73 points in the championship, but he's currently fifth on the track, although he does have the potential to get onto a podium finish. But it could be a big ask. Nicky Visser is clearly looking very good here for picking up some very, very good points. He'd still stay in fourth place, interestingly enough, even if he maintains his place, but he would be a lot closer to third place Bas de Breen. In fact, he'd only be 5 points, or actually no, a little bit more, because Bas would pick up a few points. He'd be about 10 points behind Bas de Breen. So it would certainly close up that gap to third place. I'm sure that's what he'd be very, very happy to do. So we're riding with Marco Pullen. He was closing in on the back of Guido Airshine, but now has dropped back somewhat. Guido is up in 7th place. So he's back more or less to where he was when he started. Yep, he started in 6th, so not too far off. Martin Parder Cooper for Red Bull. He's in 6th place. As I said, Bas de Breen, he's in 5th. John Donkel 4. Boy Williamson 3. Nicky Visser 2. Ruben Bowman heading up the field. Jerome Portma is bringing up the rear in P13. Mark Stappers for McLaren is in P12. Stan Drumkov for Mercedes, solid race, P11. Marcel Dronig for Renault is in P10. Ryan Dronig for Williams is P9. So all the field pretty much settled down. It's now going to be a question of these tyres, and you can see there when you look at that, we've got a mix of softs and super softs, but they're all around the same age. Now the question here is, can these super softs go the distance? They can, but a lot depends on how hard they've been pushed, how well they've been cared for, and this is something that will definitely come into play towards the closing stages of this race. We've got 11 laps to go for this F1 tonight. Race 7 of our 2018 season here at the Paul Ricard's circuit in France. Back on the F1 calendar, and what a great track it is. So Bastebri now within distance of John Donkel, and it's important that he gets past John if he can. Only 3/10 off the back of him now as they're coming through the sector 1 twists and turns. Coming round 6 into 7, you can see Bass there lining up those corners, those curbs, and he makes the move coming down to 8. He's got the DRS. Yes, he gets ahead of John Donkel. So Bastebri now moves up into 4th place. Next on his target, next on that little circle with the aiming on it, is Boy Williamson, and he's 7, nearly 8 seconds down the road. So Bastebri may be out of place, but he's not giving up. He's starting to carve his way through the field. He's got 10 laps to go. Marco Pullen picks up a 3-second time penalty. And let's watch this Ferrari now, and you can see that speed differential between the Ferrari and that Force India. Bass starting to close down now. He's got that gap to Boy Williamson down to 7 seconds. He's looking to close in, and he needs, if they're not going to pit, he definitely needs to take that 3rd place from Boy Williamson. Boy, 15 seconds, well, 14.5 seconds behind Nicky Visser. Nicky Visser, 42, nearly 43 seconds behind Ruben Bowman. And Ruben, well, what a race. 7 laps to go. He has really played this well. Nicky Visser equally played very, very well indeed. In fact, I would say all the top 5 drivers, bar Bass, have had a great race. Bass hasn't really been where he's wanted to be. He's had a few issues, and certainly what didn't help him was coming in off those intermediates on that final turn when he spun the car and opened the door to Nicky Visser, Boy Williamson and John Donkel to pit ahead of him. That really, really hurt his race, but he's fighting back. That's the man he is, the driver that he is, and the skill that he has. Ferrari have dominated the majority of the seasons here, F1 tonight. Bastebri and his teammate Seb Bogart not being their finest hour here in France, but Bass is not giving up. He's got 7 laps. He needs to close that gap down, but it's pretty much staying where he is, around about the 7-second mark. He is now hoping and praying that Boy Williamson and Nicky Visser will need to pit, either one or both. And then that would allow him to take that podium place. But it all depends on so much on the closing stages. 8 laps to go. This is F1 Tonight 2018. We are at the Paul Ricard circuit in France for this stunning race. And we've seen it all here. The unexpected, the unforeseen, the shocks and the horrors for this Halloween drive. Bass now is starting to close that gap up. He's got it down to 6 seconds. He's got 8 laps remaining. He needs to push and push hard. Now is the time. He can't rely on those drivers ahead of him coming in. They're looking solid. Let's have a quick look, actually, at Boy Williamson's tyres as he comes round the Mistral chicane. They're looking good. Nicky Visser, a little bit further up the road, certainly has wear, but again, looking good. Ruben Bowman, no problem at all on those softs. So this really is going to be on track. It will be decided. I cannot see, barring incident, Nicky Visser or Boy Williamson looking to come in before the close of this race. So that really means that Bass has to put that pedal to the metal if he stands any chance at all of getting on that podium. As he comes round turn 15 onto the start-finish straight, he's got that gap down to 5.7 seconds, but he needs more. And I'm sure Boy Williamson is all too aware, and Jerome Portmer sets the fastest lap. Great result there. Jerome Portmer, well, he is on the Ultra Softs, 2 laps old, so a lot less weight, but great result there from Jerome, bringing up the rear. Still in the fight, not giving up, and that's what I love about these guys. Obviously, there's only one winner, but these guys do not give up. They fight all the way through. Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso sets the fastest provisional lap of this race, and I'm thinking he's going to keep that because no one else is on those Ultra Softs. Mark Strappers, good solid race, stayed in there, not giving up for McLaren. Stan Drumkov, new to F1 Tonight. I think this is only his 3rd race now, but he's performed solidly. He's maintained his place. He's driven a good solid race, so great show from him. This is a driver that certainly would expect a lot from in the future as the seasons develop. Marcel Dronig for Renault. Good solid drive there for Marcel, maintained his place as well. Ryan Dronig, well, not being his race there in the Williams, showed some great wheel-to-wheel action earlier on with the Renault driver, Guido Airshine, but not being his race overall. Marco Pullen for Sauber, driven a good solid race as well. And let's have a quick look here, because I know that he has obviously moved up a few places as well. So he's moved up 4 places, so he's not done too badly at all there. Then we have Guido Airshine. Well, Guido, not the race, as I say, that he was ideally looking for, but he's maintained his position in the 4th row, albeit he was in the third row actually, but he's dropped down one. He was in 6 when he started, but he's done well to come back from the issues that he's had during the course of this race. Martin Parder Cooper, well, he's done well, started in 8th, gone up to 6th, so good race from him. John Donkel, great race from him, 4 places, starting in 9th, down in 5th. Basta Breen, well, he started in 3rd, he's down to 4th, but he's fighting back. He's only 3 seconds now off the back of Boy Williamson, so he will be closing in on him at the knockings of this race. And Boy Williamson, well, what a great race he's done. 12 places, started in 15th, got up to 12th place, so he's done really, really well. Nicky Visser equally, he did start in 4th, but he dropped right back, so he had to fight hard to come back to 2nd place, and he's performed very well indeed. He can be very happy, I think, with his race, albeit it didn't work out at the beginning as he would liked it to. Lost a lot of places in the first lap and had front wing damage, had to pit early. But Ruben Bowman leads this race with 5 laps to go. 4 laps now as he comes over the line. But Basta Breen has got it down to 2.3 seconds now to Boy Williamson, and let's stay with Bass. He can see the Haas now ahead of him. That is his target. That is what he's aiming for. He could have hoped that the guys on the super softs ahead of him would need to pit, but their tyres are looking good. No need to pit from those super softs, so he has to fight it on this track. He's got it down to 2.1 seconds now. He's got 4 laps remaining. He needs to give it that extra push if he's going to get any chance of getting onto that podium. And Marco Pullen picking up a 3-second time penalty there for Sauber. And remember, points will come into play. I would look at them now for you, but I'd only spoil your viewing pleasure. But we will certainly see how that pans out at the end of this race. But they will come into play. And it's all a question of what penalties Bass and Boy have picked up, because that could well decide the final 3rd place on this podium, barring any incidents with Nicky Visser or Ruben Bowman ahead. Ryan Dronig picks up a 3-second time penalty. So Basta Breen, 2.5 seconds behind Boy. Boy clearly starting to open up. He knows how critical, how important it is to stay ahead of that Ferrari. And indeed, that Haas should be able to. He's got a Ferrari engine as well, remember. So the same power unit in these cars. It's all a question of how it is delivered on track. Nicky Visser holding that 2nd place. Boy Williamson holding that 3rd place. But Basta Breen in the Ferrari is closing down on him. He needs to take that place from him. He won't have DRS, he's still too far away, but how much more can he eat into that Haas? How much more can he take out of that Haas? He needs to really close it down. He can push harder on those softs. Coming through sector 1, round turn 5, John Donkel's got a 3-second time penalty. Shouldn't affect him too much, hopefully. I think that's 6 seconds he's picked up during the course of the race. Bass now, he's got it under 2 seconds. Ruben Bowman has got a 3-second time penalty, but again, shouldn't affect the end result here, as long as they keep their places. But now Bass has got it down to just over a second and a half as they come out the Mistral chicane, approaching turn 10. They're on lap 51 of 53. Martin Parder Cooper picking up a 3-second time penalty. So you can see the drivers starting to feel the weariness. This is hard going. F1 tonight, 2018, every Thursday night. We are, I think, one of the few, if not the only, that do full race distances and full qualies. So this is as true as you can get with esports to the real world F1, and what a fight we are seeing here. Bas de Breen is fighting hard. He wants that third place, he wants that podium, and he needs to push now. He's got 2 laps to make it count as they come round turn 6. Enter 7 now. He needs to get down into that DRS zone. He needs to get under a second. He's only 1.3 off now. Guido Airshine, Renault, 3-second time penalty. Come on, Bas. 3/10 and you will have DRS. But boy, Williamson maintaining that pace. He's not going to give this place away easily, even if Bas gets right up behind him. You can count that Boy Williamson is going to defend and defend hard. He wants those points. It will really help within the championship. Nicky Visser will still stay ahead of him, but there's going to be very little in it still. Boy Williamson currently 5th in the championship. Nicky Visser is 4th. And Bas has got it down to 1.1. A lap and a half to go. So they're coming round turn 4, 5, into 6. So tricky, this turn 6 now. Out of 7, puts pedal to the metal. He's got it. He's under a second. He will have the DRS. He needs to make it count. Didn't open it up. Didn't see him open up the DRS. He may not have been aware of it, but he was within DRS. I'm sure that was within the detection point as well. But Ruben Bowman now, and let's cut to Ruben Bowman. He's on his 53rd lap. Just coming through sector 2. But Bas de Breen, this is where he's going to make it count now. In this final sector, he needs to close it up so that he can get into position. He's in round 14. Can he get it into 15 now? This is the critical one. This is what's going to count. He needs to get past this Haas now. This is his opportunity. He's steaming into turn 1. Can he do it? He's alongside. Oh, so close. Can't quite get ahead of him. They both go wide round 2. Oh, look at this now. So close, but let's watch Ruben Bowman now as he comes over the line to win this F1 tonight. French Grand Prix, fantastic result there from Ruben Bowman. Nicky Visser will be coming in 2nd, but Bas de Breen needs to get past this Boy Williamson now. Nicky Visser has come out 9 into 10. And look at this, they're side by side as they're coming into turn. Oh, chicane, my goodness. Oh, so close, out of 9 now. And Bas is really pushing. He is all over the back of this Haas. Let's watch him now. through this final sector 3. Nicky Visser coming round. He will take second place. Fantastic result there from Nicky Visser. And Brasta Breed still pushing with Boy Williamson. Can he do it on the final close now? Is it coming round turn 14? Into 15. Can he do it? No. Boy Williamson stays ahead of him. Takes third place. Basta Breed. Oh no. He does take third place. Basta Breed takes third place. I told you those points would come in, and they did. 70 points coming in. Bass finishes on the podium on third place. Boy Williamson for Haas finishes fourth. Martin Parder Cooper for Red Bull finishes fifth. Guido Airshine comes back. Great close from him. Finishes sixth. John Donkel finishes seventh. And we'll run through the runners and riders. Great result there from Guido Airshine. Managed to fight back there. Fantastic result there. What a great drive. Ruben Bowman for Red Bull takes first place. Nicky Visser for Sauber takes second. And Basta Breed for Ferrari takes third place. What a fantastic result that has been. And there you have it. Martin Parder Cooper comes in fifth. Guido Airshine is sixth. John Donkel 7. Stan Drumkov is 8. Marco Pullen is 9. Marcel Dronig 10. Ryan Dronig 11. Mark Stabbers 12. Jerome Portmer 13. And Ruud Windahl, Miguel Torney, Seb Bogart, Damie Hartman and Peter Phillips DNF'd. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that race as much as I have. We look forward to seeing you next week. And where are we next week? We are at the Spielberg circuit in Austria. So until next week, Thursday, make a note in your calendar. We'll see you then. Thank you and good night.